today's video, I am joined with Harmony. Hey guys. And she is an influencer in the same city that I'm from, Lancaster. And I'll put her contact information down below, her Instagram handle and all of that. But in today's video, we kind of came up with the idea of me doing her makeup and kind of talking you guys through it and explaining to you why I use certain products on you and all of that. So if you want to see me beat her face, then keep on watching. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is use the Cool Lotion by Makeup Forever. This actually is part makeup remover, part like if your face is a little warm. This is a good product to kind of use to like prep the skin. It also does take makeup off, but it's not like fully a makeup remover. It's just more so preps the skin. Does your face feel a little cool?
I was going to say, yeah, it's definitely cooling.
Yeah. So for your primer, I'm going to use the Step 1 Base Hydration from Makeup Forever. I'm using this because you are more dry, and this definitely gives you a good hydrating base. There is one that's a little more hydrating than this one, called Nourishing, which is the one that I use, especially in the wintertime. Right. Then I always start out with brows, just because I think that kind of
frames the face.
Yeah, it does. It frames the face. A lot of people do brows last, which I don't like doing, just because I like to do eyes first, especially if you're going for more dramatic, you get the fallout. Everybody's different, but I just like to start with it first.
I feel like that makes sense, especially if you don't have your brows done. I feel like I wouldn't know where to put the shadows almost, you know?
Oh,
like
yeah, 100%.
It's like a stopping point.
100%, especially if you fill in your brows a lot and you really give your brows a shape, you know what I mean? Like you don't just like, you follow your natural brow, but you fill in more, then you definitely need to start with the brow.
And what was this you used on me?
Okay, so this one actually is from like this small indie brand called Locale, and it's just their pomade, and this one's in soft brown. On myself, I usually use the Anastasia Dip Brow, but I really like this formula because on myself, I have more time to work with my brows, but on other people, you don't want to take like 20 minutes on their brows when you're doing someone's makeup. And this one I really like because it's a little, I don't want to say harder to put on, but it's not as creamy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can definitely fill them in a little faster. Whenever I do brows, I always go a little sloppier and then kind of just like clean them up. I think it's a lot easier to just do that. It's weird, but it takes a little bit more time to kind of edge out the brow, but I think you always kind of get that like cleaner look. It's definitely, if you're going for a more natural look, I wouldn't do it as much. You know what I mean?
We don't want natural.
But we don't want natural.
And you're using?
I'm using the NARS Creamy Concealer in shade 2.6.
Brows.
Okay, then for your eye shadow primer, I'm going to use the Makeup Forever, what is this? Step 1 Base Eye and Lip Primer. So you can actually put this on the eyes and the lips.
Oh, interesting.
And this is also a really good primer for someone who is older. I'm not using it on you because you're older. I'm using it because I like it.
Yeah.
But if you are older, it's a good one because it doesn't like set into creases.
Oh, okay.
And then it's also super light, so it doesn't get like clumpy. And when you move the shadow around, it doesn't like peel off the shadow.
So I've never used a eyeshadow primer on myself personally. What are like the major benefits for someone to use that?
Yeah, so the benefits of using a eyeshadow primer are you definitely get more longevity out of your shadows. It also gives a good base to it. I know you are dry, but as the day progresses, your face normally gets a little oilier, And if you have shadow on, it can move, especially if you have like a cream shadow on. Like the Stila Magnificent Metals, although they are amazing and really do stay in place, they still can have a tendency to move if you don't have something holding it down.
That makes sense.
And really like put foundation on your face without putting a primer.
Right.
Even if you didn't use a primer, you wouldn't put it on without using like moisturizer or something like that. Yeah, so just think of your eyelids like that.
Okay.
I usually will use concealer on my eyelids when I am not doing much eyeshadow. I'm just putting like my bronzer shade in my crease to kind of warm it up.
Yeah.
I'll just use concealer.
Okay.
But if you're doing like a look, primer's better. Yeah. And then we're going to use the Modern Renaissance Anastasia palette. The reason that I have this in my kit is because I think for most people, this is a really, really good palette. I also think most people own this palette. I really haven't met many people that don't own this palette by now. Do you own this palette?
I don't, but that's good to know.
Yeah,
it's like easier for people to recreate if they have the same shades.
Yeah, I feel like out of all the palettes I hear about, I feel like this is the one that like the majority of people have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I always go in the crease of your eye. You can kind of just find it wherever, like, you can always just kind of see it in people's eyes. Usually it's in like the middle. And I just go in with like a base shade.
And you're doing that all the way from the inside corner to the... Okay.
Yeah. I always do that just because I think it's easier. Eventually, colors are going to be everywhere, and it's just nice to have it blended. And then that one was Warm Taupe that I used, and then I'm going to use this Rogar. I don't know how to say it. I don't know how you say that. Exactly.
Not me.
Yeah, I have no idea. But it's like this orangey tone. And then I'm going to put that right in here. Almost on the eyelids, but just also working it in with that shade we just put down. And just blending.
So a little lower than the crease?
Yeah.
Okay.
But then you also kind of like bring it up to the crease. It's kind of, it's hard to explain, but I always kind of like put transition shade in, and then I'll bring a shadow up where there's only a little bit of the transition shade showing, so that you can see like the gradient of colors.
Yeah, that makes sense.
When I do my own makeup, and then when I'm doing other people's makeup, I like to have a clean brush. And the reason I like to have a clean brush is because I want to go in and blend, but I don't want to add more product.
Okay.
So this brush obviously still has product on it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go in with this clean brush and then blend out shadows. And I just use kind of like circular motions.
What kind of brushes are your, like, what would you recommend to someone who doesn't have a ton of eyeshadow brushes? Like, what would be your, what's a good starter?
So I would definitely recommend Morphe. I have a lot of their brushes. I also have a lot of Makeup Forever brushes as well.
Okay.
The only thing is, someone who's like just really getting into it and doesn't play with a lot of eyeshadow, I feel like Morphe is the way to go because you don't really know exactly what are the best brushes for your eyes. When I first was buying all my brushes, I thought I had to have like a huge fluffy blending brush for everything. Like I probably own like 24 fluffy blending brushes, like big ones. And now I do more detail. And even though I, like on myself, I have a wider lid space, I just notice that this brush that I'm using, which is the M433 by Morphe, is a better size than something like this. And this is, it's probably scratched off. Yeah, this is the R, I think 37. So, you see what I mean?
This seems more like dense and packed versus
exactly, versus
are looser.
This one's so much bigger, and this I would do this same step with this, and I would get it way bigger than I wanted it to be.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And especially because you have a smaller lid space than I do.
Yeah.
And like you have a normal lid space. I just have like a weirdly big lid space. This would be too much. Eyes. Yeah. A bit warm. I'm going to go in with Red Ochre. And I'm actually going to use this clean brush because we're not going to blend out much anymore. And I'm just going to pack this on your lid. Then I'm going to use the Bare Minerals Bare Pro in the shade Cashmere. And I really like applying foundations with a brush. I'll use a beauty blender sometimes, but I think it really depends on like the consistency of the foundation. If it looks a little more watery, I apply with a brush. If it's a little thicker, I'll use a sponge. That way the sponge kind of like absorbs some of the product so you're not so cakey. And with watery foundation, I feel like the sponge absorbs too much.
That makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Sucks it up.
Yeah. So, this brush that I'm using is a Makeup Forever brush, and this is 108. I really like this brush. I got it at one of the classes I was at. And the reason I really like it is because it's made out of all synthetic, so it doesn't absorb any of the product. It places literally all of it when I clean my brushes after I do someone's makeup. It's like there's hardly any foundation on it. And placement is very important. So if you, because you don't like your redness, you want to cover, like you want to place like right in here, where you have most of the redness. Because what that'll do is that'll place the most product, and then you work out from there. Then you spread from there.
A lot of times I don't even really put much foundation past like my temples.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I don't really need it on my forehead.
Yeah.
And then if I sweat it all, that's where I sweat first.
Yeah. See, the reason that I would recommend just doing a little bit, not even because you need it, but just to give you like that full like finished look.
Yeah, like
you know what I mean? Yeah. And then also when you apply foundation, if you're gonna wear concealer, which most people do, you don't need to place it under your eyes. You don't need to place it all over your face.
You need to do double duty.
Yeah. Unless you're having a really rough day, then do that.
Unless it's Monday.
Yeah, then you can use foundation and concealer. Then what I'm going to do is, this brush is literally like the baby version of the last brush that I used on you. This is the 144. Made it the same thing, has the same look. And the fun thing about the Makeup Forever brushes is because when you are a makeup artist, you don't, like I would never take this product and put it on your face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You always dish it out. So when I was using the brow product on you, I literally scooped it out.
Oh.
So it has like, you can't really like, you can kind of see it there. It has like a slant to it, and that's specifically to scoop out product. Yeah.
Yeah.
Scoop out lipstick, everything like that. So I'm going to use the same light shade on you to conceal mostly, and then I'm going to go in with a little bit lighter shade under your eyes to brighten. So I'm using the 2.6 and 2. This one's a little pinker and the other one's a little yellow, so I'm only going to place this like a little bit. It will mix to be a more like neutral shade.
For someone buying concealer, what is the general, is there like a rule, you know, it's like, oh, you buy one shade lighter than your skin tone, or how's a good gauge of that?
Yeah, so the one I'm putting on you right now is pretty much like your skin tone, but it definitely gives a fuller coverage, a fuller finish to it. So it really is a personal preference on how light you want to go. It's on how much highlighting you want to do.
Okay.
And also, it's, you know how like you see those YouTubers, not YouTubers, Instagram makeup people
with like the triangle.
Yeah, and they place things everywhere and then they blend out eventually. That's kind of pointless. I'll do it occasionally when I'm rushing just to kind of get all the product on. But if you're actually like doing your makeup or you're doing someone else's face, it's kind of pointless because you put it all over and the product's already sitting in.
Oh, yeah.
And it's caking up. And it's just sitting there. And then you're blending it, but it's already caking.
When I watch those videos, it makes me feel like my face would just be like soup. Like,
yeah.
Where would that all go?
Yeah, yeah. So then I'm going to go in and use this little lighter shade up in here, closer to your eye. And you don't even need to go the whole way up because we're going to put shadow under there anyway. You definitely want to like focus it like the triangle, but you want to kind of bring it all the way up to here.
Like on your cheekbones?
Yeah, like all the way up here, because that way it literally gives you like the snatched look. Like you look.
We love that.
You know what I mean? Like you want to obviously blend it, and you don't want to take the lightest shade and bring it up there. But with the concealer, I always bring it up pretty high and then go in and contour and like blend it when you bronze and everything. And then I'm using the Makeup Forever. What even is this called? It's just
Who are you?
Super Matte Loose Powder. So what I do with this, when I use this on people, I take a little bit out of it. Watch me spill all over your house. Okay. And then a good trick is to take your brush, and I always use one that's kind of pointed so I can get into like your inner corner but it not be too big. Get a bunch of the product on the brush and then put it on your arm.
Okay.
So this, it'd be a little more complicated to do on yourself, but you can do it on yourself.
Yeah.
This is how you kind of get it to set all day, and then work the product into the brush, and then look up, and then you roll it onto your face. And this way you can feel me like pushing in and rolling.
Yeah.
That's literally setting the product into your face. That's why it doesn't move.
You will not move.
You will not.
And I can attest to that because when you did my makeup for that wedding, after all that dancing and everything, I went to the bar for like 2 more hours and it still looked good.
Yeah, good. That's what I like to hear. I gradually work up because I would rather have to put more product on you than try and blend it away because it's almost nearly impossible. So I'm just going to use the Morphe 9C palette and then just go in with this shade because I feel like this is like a good, for most lighter skin tones, so it's like a good shade to start with.
It's not too cool, it's not too warm.
Exactly.
In the middle.
And then this is how I always do my powder contour, is I'll go with a flat brush. This one is one of the gunmetal ones, but it doesn't have, that's stupid, it doesn't have the number on it, but I just made a video about my favorite brushes where I like talk about one. Very similar to this, and then I will just kind of like, I'll do it on this side, place it where it needs to go, and you'll look crazy because you're gonna have a line on your face, but then all of it gets blended out. And this you can place, it's not like concealer, or then you go to blend it out later.
And it doesn't move.
And it doesn't move, like this will move. And then I usually just use like a more like tapered, defined brush and kind of blend. So you just do like circular motions. I can speak.
I like that though because we all know we've done like our chin contour and then our cheek contour and then you're done and you're like, there's no space in between them because I use too big of a brush.
Yes.
So it makes sense to start smaller.
Over. I'm going to place this. Because once, I would definitely recommend doing the cheekbones first. And then like if you use like the 2-brush trick and then use this type of brush to position it other places because you don't want to go in with the dirty to blend it. And then also, when you're doing like the jawline, you want to make sure you're not giving yourself like that chin strap looking thing. It's really easy to contour if you go like behind the ear and bring it down. Because if I did it like up here more, you would really notice it, but now it's just subtle. Although your nose doesn't really need it, I personally like doing it just to give like the center of the face more warmth.
Yes.
So I only take like a very teeny tiny bit, especially now that I've done your face. This is the 3rd time I kind of know where to go, but I always do it like on the outside.
Because you know I'm not going to let you put blush on.
No, so. I know I'm not going to be able to put blush on you. And then down here. And then just blend it out.
And is that an eyeshadow brush you're using for that?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I always use an eyeshadow brush. This is the one that I said would be ridiculous on your eyes.
Yeah.
And then for bronzer, I'm going to use the Too Faced. This is actually the dark chocolate, I think. There's milk chocolate and dark chocolate. And then this brush is the R2 by Morphe. This is like my personal favorite bronzer brush. I just feel like it's like the perfect shape for really like getting the whole cheek, but not getting too much, and it's still really fluffy.
These Too Faced bronzers always smell so good too.
I know, they seriously just smell like chocolate. Okay, and then I like to go in with like a clean, like big brush, and just like blend out the neck altogether, just to make sure that you don't look ever like, you know, patchy or have a line. And then for highlight, I'm going to use the Anastasia Glow Kit in the shade, or in the palette Sun Dipped, and then I'm going to use this shade Summer. This is seriously like one of the prettiest highlighters I've ever used. It's my personal favorite gold because I feel like it's like the right amount of gold, but then there's like a little bit, like it's not dark gold, you know what I mean? It's like the perfect shade. And especially for like lighter skin tones, I think it looks so good. Well, then I'm gonna go back to the eyes. I'm just gonna use this while it's clean and blend out the edges in here. Come down a little bit. And then I'm going to go back in with the red ochre and bring that under. So I really want to smoke this out. And then I always connect it like to the top so that everything looks blended.
You never know what to do on the corners. That's
yeah,
a good tip.
On the corners, I always can bring it up and connect it. Whether you bring it like straight up or you curve it a little bit, either way you can always kind of like get in there and just connect them. And then for inner corners, I'm just going to use that same brush that I applied the bottom shade with. I wiped it off. I'm just going to dab this in here. Now you have eyes, like your eye shape, the inner corner kind of goes down a little bit. So I like to put it like right in the bottom, like right there. And that kind of like follows your natural eye shape and really enhances that. If I would have put it like right up here, like higher up, not at the actual bottom right here, it would just like look like too much.
Yeah.
That really like enhances the inner part of your eye. But for your lips, I'm actually gonna use this all over.
Cool.
And it's the Make It Forever Artist Color Pencil. This is in the shade 602. The really, really cool thing about these pencils is you can use them all over your face. It's not just a lip pencil. So I can use this on your eyes. I can use this on your cheeks, even though you hate blush. I can use this. I can use this on your eyelids and use it as a eyeshadow. You can use it all over, which is so cool. Because usually pencils are more so for like eyes and for lips. And these things stay on so long. So especially if you're doing makeup on someone else, like if you're a makeup artist, these are good to use because you don't have to really worry about the client having to reapply. And
That's perfect for travel too. Then you don't have to bring as many products.
you don't have to worry about bringing lipstick or lip liner, like you just bring one.
Or if you like it for your cheek, or
or you're using it as eyeliner as well.
Yep.
Perfect.
Especially if it's a natural color like that, you could probably easily do a shadow like you said. It just gives you a little something.
Yeah. Right then, for setting spray, I'm going to use Make It Forever Mist and Fix. So close your eyes. Perfect. And then I'm just going to put some mascara on you. And when you apply lashes, the mascara doesn't really matter if like your lashes look full or long, and like you just want to make sure they're pretty much coated, at least the outside. You know, I never go down unless someone like only wants mascara.
Okay.
Just because you just need them to match the shade of the lash. But when I am applying lashes on someone, and this is even a good trick for like yourself, I would say if you're doing it on yourself, hold a mirror down and look down and literally go in and plop it on. For you, just like look lower, and then we can just plop this right in here. Alright, and then that is it, you guys. I really hope that you enjoyed this video with Harmony and myself. And if you did, please give this a thumbs up down below, and also do not forget to subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye everyone.
Bye.